All right, everyone. The New York Times almost never actually gets it right, but they finally hit the nail on the head. Link in the description is not to the New York Times, and it's archived, but you'll see what I mean if you read it. Now it's a little bit more expansive, I think, than the article actually says. What it boils down to, the article's saying, well, one of the biggest problems with liberals today is preachiness. You need to cut out the self-righteousness. It's turning off potential voters. It's becoming a problem. Absolutely. Although I would say it's bigger than that. It's the attitude in general, not just the preachiness. And it's not just liberals. It's also people who are just partisan Democrats in many cases. In fact, I'd say it has more to do with like DNC neoliberal partisanship than liberality in general. Of course, there aren't a lot of liberals in the DNC. Tom Perez fundamentally is not a liberal. He's an authoritarian corporatist. He's an oligarchic, plutocratic individual, much like the Clintons and all of these others. They're not to the left on many issues. Saying legalize recreational marijuana is not a far left view. No, legalize all drugs is far left. Any more than, hey, stop passing new gun control, that's not a far right view, that's a centrist view. A far right view is strip existing gun control back to the 1800s. So you see, you have this problem. People think in terms of black and white, but they're not identifying black and white. They're just looking at mediocre shades of gray between the two, actually, most of the time. It's pure puppet show. It's totally Shakespearean. It's excellent propaganda. You almost have to take your hats off to the establishment that managed to build in people's minds such a total web of lies that they actually take it all seriously. They actually think these things is like one political party is better than the other. Yeah, they're both comprised of people who are older and more wealthy than the general public that get money from the same corporations and banks and the same military, industrial, academic complex that have partners with the same countries overseas, but they're totally different. Trust me, it's like night and day, dude. It's so funny. It's so funny. It's a little bit sad at the same time. But yeah, the preachiness is definitely a problem. I've noticed this. There is definitely more self-righteousness among people, at least right now, on the left. Now, it used to be on the right. Remember like the peak war on Christmas era, like the Bush era, and they're like, if you question Bush, you're a commie, and if you don't like the Iraq war, that means you hate the military for some reason. You don't want people to get shot at, so you must hate them. Now, it was very preachy. It was basically an era of shut up and worship Jesus, shut up and listen to whatever Bush says, don't fucking question him, until Katrina shatters that illusion and the emperor literally is wearing no clothes at that point. It was a problem. It was preachiness. And it really turned off a lot of the youth. There's a reason why all those, new rising up millennial voters in the early 2010s, basically, in the late 2000s, there's a reason they swung heavily to the left. It had to do with preachiness in part. The self-righteousness of a political movement, both perceived and real. The left is making the same mistake. They're turning off Gen Z and I think many millennials and even younger Gen Xers at huge levels, primarily because they're out of touch. They don't even realize how self-righteous they sound. It's like, oh yeah, fuck middle America. It's like when Hillary Clinton made her basket of deplorables comments. You're talking about a very large number, many tens of millions of hardworking Americans, as though they were interchangeable, easily stereotyped bigots, and that's the reason that they don't support you. Big mistake, by the way, helped lose her the election. It was like the death knell of her fucking campaign was that particular alt-right, 4chan is evil speech. Didn't work very well with any younger voters. Hillary Clinton had big problems as compared to Obama. Obama was hip and in touch with people compared to the Clintons. Easily, still is. Still is more than most Democrats because, he's not, 80 years old. I suppose that helps. He still has some, something other than white or gray in his hair. So yeah, he's a little bit more with it. He knows how to use a smartphone, I guess. He knows how to play Minesweeper and knows what Sudoku is. Then, at the same time, you've got something more than preachiness, though. You've got their general attitude. It goes beyond the preachiness and self-righteousness, really. It goes into a little bit of warmongering. Basically justifying what some Democrats have done. You look at it this way. The same problems that they perceived of maybe with the Bush era, a lot of that continued with Obama, and yet they became the ones saying, no, just shut up and deal with it. Shut up and deal with the surveillance apparatus like the NSA, the Snowden stuff, because it's for your own fucking good. Shut up and deal with the fact that we're going to try to restrict firearms because you can't be trusted. Meanwhile, you're giving machine guns to cartels. It's not a good look for your party. This has become a problem. The thing is, it's exactly the opposite of what the left was, in the mid-2000s. It was sort of the renegade movement of particularly younger people who were angry and upset at the concept of heavy-handed central government and especially inept government. Now it's become the face of government. Clinton and Pelosi, career politicians, establishmentarians, outdated sort of 80s and 90s era views, they're the face of the Democratic Party. No one better. Who else can possibly be the face of the Democratic Party? Most of the other people that they're talking about, Biden, Gillibrand, I think Harris, they're all old too. You've got a cast of former all-stars that now, it's like asking an 80-year-old Harlem Globetrotter to still play like really great basketball and win. Okay, yeah, you were a legend in your time. You're in a wheelchair. You can't dribble the ball, you're dribbling saliva. So it's becoming a problem for the Democratic Party that's aging and becoming self-righteous. They don't realize that it's a different era now. I think that's the fundamental central problem. All the other problems. The preachiness stems from not realizing what decade it is. The self-righteousness stems from not realizing what decade it is. The problematic campaign strategy where, we'll go to a bunch of fundraisers and we'll go to a few events and, we'll have a Facebook page. It stems from the same thing. And all of their problems come from being woefully out of touch. The Republicans had this problem. They've modernized. The president is now basically the symbol of Gen X. It's like in order to have a bigger Gen X symbol in the White House, you would have had to have had Republican Howard Stern get elected. Or Johnny Knoxville or something. It's not going to happen. The skeleton of Kurt Cobain is now going to give the State of the Union address. Rattle, rattle. It just wouldn't look good, dude. It'd be pretty funny. But no, Trump has modernized the Republicans. They've left behind some of the wedge issues that were holding them back, like on gay marriage. A lot of Republicans are still out of touch on it, but Trump has shoved them aside and said, I'm not raising the specter. I don't care if you're gay. It doesn't matter. Remember when I think Jenner there was like, which bathroom can I use at Trump Tower? And he's like, whatever bathroom you want. I don't give a fuck. He's a tabloid Gen X president. He's not the typical Musty Pines 80-year-old of the boomer generation. He's not grandma from the Victorian era lingering on in the disco 70s or the coke-snorting 80s and being like, she doesn't even know who the Beatles are. No, that's not the way that people who are older tend to be now anyway. Unless they happen to be Democrats. Then it's a little bit of a problem. I have a feeling some of the Democrats in Congress still long for the slave days. They're always talking about how great gun control is. Okay, so it was dreamed up in the 1870s, in the early Jim Crow, Ku Klux Klan Southern Democrat era, and you keep harping on it. You think it's a good strategy. I deeply disagree. I don't think that it is. By the way, haven't their arguments died down just as predicted? Like it didn't even take a month. Where are the Parkland people now? Now, where are they now? 10 years later, they come stumbling out of the alley. It was so great while it lasted. I pissed away the 10 grand I made from CNN on, Coke or something. Coca-Cola, in their case, I hope at their age. The New York Times is right. But then, at the same time, I was thinking of something else which is perhaps even funnier. That is, the New York Times doesn't realize how preachy the New York Times is. This is the problem of the legacy media. They don't realize the same thing. Like the liberals as an ideological sort of front, or the Democrats as a political party, they're unaware. It takes an outsider looking in to tell them, hey, you're being self-righteous. A lot of people don't like that. They're tired of being called Bible thumpers, or they're lowbrow. They shouldn't count because they're not, basically wealthy coastal elites. At the same time, the corporate media does the same thing. As like earlier, they were talking about this basic concept. Don't you dare call us out of touch. You don't even realize how out of touch that sounds. You're like saying, someday the American people are going to realize that these journalists are the good guys and not the Republicans that are giving tax cuts to the rich. And I'm like, so all those 7- and 8-figure pundits that are getting tax cuts, yeah, they're totally everyman. Yeah, it's like Bruce Springsteen pretending to still be a working class hero or something. It just doesn't work, dude. At some point, you get enough money so that you're a limousine liberal. I think actually he's a conservative, which is funny. He became a conservative probably when he saw his tax rate maybe 20 years ago. Yeah, that's what ends up happening. At least fiscally, yeah. I will admit, when you make more money, you do feel a little more fiscally conservative. Yeah. I think that's why millennials, because we got screwed in the job market, honestly, by people outside of our own generation, maybe that's why we lingered on in leftydom for longer and now swinging heavily back because the economy is improving under a Republican. Someone who supposedly he's like really, really far right, but actually he's not. He's like, when's he talked about abortion? Nah, he hasn't. He could go up in front of an evangelical crowd and start talking about baby killers, but he hasn't done that. He could go up in front of a far-right crowd and say, oh, well, we need to take back marriage for men and women instead of Adam and Steve. He hasn't done that. When's he done that? As for his fiscal platform, he hasn't cut welfare programs. I think he should, but he hasn't. He's not a far-righter. He just wants you to pay less in your taxes because he knows that businesses will invest more and workers will take home more and therefore spend more. Business profits will go up, raising consumer confidence further and causing an upward spiral within the economy, at least for the foreseeable future. That's what he wants. He's also correct when he states this. The Obama policy of managing the decrepitude of the United States obviously became less popular with time. The idea that we had to give up exceptionalism and say, well, we're just one of the powers of the world. Let's just, slide back into the dustbin of history and go out with a little dignity here. We had it good for a while. There's nothing more we can do. That's not the way that Trump does business. He's the exact polar opposite of that mentality. We're going to win bigly. I'll press the little red button. Don't make me do it. And by the way, you're going to make so much money your head will spin. That's how Trump operates. And I think people appreciate that more. That's not out of touch. People try to claim he is. Oh, he's just demented. He's like, he doesn't understand. He's not with it. No, trust me, he is. He's got more in common with Gen Z than he does people that are, in their 50s and 60s most of the time. The liberal movement used to be youthful, 10 years ago. Look, a decade has passed since the peak Iraq war sort of pushback. Bush hasn't been in the presidency in a long time. The Democrats can't keep blaming Bushite policies, especially when the Bushes are getting really, really chummy with the Clintons and Kerrys and Obamas of the world. They seem to love him. They seem to get along just fine. Laura Bush is like, oh, yeah, hey, Obama, you want to go bowling? Barbara, before she does, she's like, I'm going to go hang out with Hillary because we've got similar mental faculties at this point. Actually, probably Barbara Bush, up until the very end, Barbara Bush was probably more coherent than Hillary Clinton has been in 20 fucking years. And that's about all. Peace out.